It was
Let's
Dark
see if
and
this will
Stormy
work.
Night. I feel like
Oh man. Do I sense a Road Warrior coming up?
why do I feel like I've read this intro about 12 times?
Skip the intro.
Oh man, but nobody in the thing is okay. I guess I can just skip the intro, but it's so wet and cool. You guys don't get to hear the intro. Okay.
Oh.
You've heard it, Bart. Haven't you?
I vaguely remember it.
Basically, Dr. Robotnik gets wet in the rain.
I don't think I heard the intro, actually.
Oh, man, Buzz Lightyear's Circuit Man.
He gets his ass kicked by a Street Fighter parody.
A shock. Here, this is chapter 1. A shock to the system. Ready, dudes? Asked Porker Lewis. Set! Said Johnny Lightfoot. Go! Oh, man, he's holding a BMU! Oh. Go, shouted Sally Acorn. Sonic
And
the
they all
Hedgehog...
played Capture the Flag.
Oh, that... No! If they did, I would cry.
Man, we're playing Kingdom Hearts.
They don't play Capture the Flag in any of these books, right?
Thank fuck they don't know.
I would not be able to get beyond that. Sonic the Hedgehog leaped from his crouching position and shot off across the Green Hill Zone at incredible speed, his blue feet in their special friction-resistant red running shoes pounding out a rhythm of several hundred beats per minute across the grass-covered ground, still a little soggy from last night's rain. From behind him, he heard a whoosh as Tails, you remember, the cute orange fox who had been his friend and companion through several adventures, hurtled off in the opposite direction, spinning his twin tails behind him like a propeller to give him extra speed. As he pelted away across the zone, the wind rushing over his face, Sonic smiled to himself. He already knew that he would win the race easily, because he always did. Over short distances, Tails could just about keep up with him, but in a lengthier race, Sonic's longer legs, superior streamlining, and, well, all-round coolness always gave him the edge. In a really, really long race like this one, across all the zones of the planet Mobius, it was almost inevitable that the younger racer would get distracted somewhere along the way and would stop to examine something, leaving Sonic to cruise home in an easy first place for the usual round of all adulation and thank you, adoring fan acceptance speeches. Of course, he reminded himself as he zipped out of the Green Hill Zone and into the Marble Zone, past strange ancient temples and the entrances to networks of underground caverns, dungeons, and halls, winning the race wasn't really the point. He and Tails were out on patrol, checking all over the planet at super speed to see if they could find any trace of that arch pain, Dr. Robotnik, or any sign of what he was doing at the moment and how he was planning to attempt to take over the planet for the upteenth time. There was a second purpose to the race, too. Back in the days before Dr. Ivo Robotnik had appeared on the scene to spread his robots and havoc across the planet, Sonic's friend and mentor, the scientist Dr. Ovai Kintobor, had been trying to capture all the chaos energy on the planet, using 6 huge emeralds he had found and a machine he had invented, the Retro-Orbital Chaos Compressor. In a horrible accident in his laboratory, perhaps because Kintobor had never found the 7th emerald, which was supposed to neutralize the other 6, something had gone terribly wrong and the Retro-Orbital Chaos Compressor had blown up, transforming the kindly, thin Kintobor into the, totally bonkers, egg-shaped and egg-obsessed Robotnik, and scattering the ring-like components of the Chaos Compressor all over the planet.
Let's also not forget there's several hedgehogs and chaos energies and recolors involved.
Sonic had a theory that if they collected enough of the rings, they might be able to rebuild Kintobor's machine and use it to recapture the Chaos Emeralds, maybe even to drain the Chaos energy from Robotnik and turn him back into Kintobor. It was a wild idea and a long shot, especially as neither the Hedgehog nor his foxy friend knew much about science or chaos, save what they'd seen in a recent season of Mad Scientist movies that had been shown on the telly. This is precious line. What's going on in this game?
I don't know, but man, this game is really annoying. That's all I remember.
That's why you're playing it.
Great.
He turned into the robot fox. That's weird.
Well, all I know is we're going to shoot a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Man,
right,
it
we
looks
gotta
just like
race
the
him or something.
cartoon. Furthermore, there were only a few rings left around the zones now. Still, seemed worth a chance, and even on their own, the rings did seem to have strange powers when it came to resisting chaos energy and the attacks of Robotnik's droids and robots. Sonic kept his eyes peeled for the slightest twinkle of anything that might be either golden or ring-shaped as he sprinted on. The last of the Marble Zone's temples disappeared behind him as Sonic entered the Scrap Metal Zone. What? Why is it called the Scrap Metal Zone?
I think that's a different zone.
Just go with it.
Okay. Once an
It's not Scrap Brain, because Scrap Brain's in a different novel.
Oh, okay. Once an industrial nightmare, the bare metalwork of the Skyrise complex had been left untended to sit in the wind and the rain for years. Without paint or power, it had rusted and decayed, its former traps and devices lying idle, its robot guardians gone. The metal platforms clanged ominously as Sonic's shoes pounded across them, and wind whistled across the high rooftops, which had once been occupied by deadly buzz bombers, crab meat, spikes, and rollers. Once it had been a hive of frantic activity, but now it seemed completely deserted, untouched and unvisited by anyone since Sonic had last sped through here a month or so ago. He raced onwards, his legs pumping tirelessly until they became a blur of blue energy, the slipstream blowing over his face and through his aerodynamically arranged spikes, which let him attain the maximum speed possible, 761 miles per hour, or just over the speed of sound. The dull roar of a sonic boom followed in his path, echoing off the sides of the buildings as he zipped past and out of the zone. It was hard to make out the precise details of the zones at such high speed, but Sonic knew each one so well that he would have noticed immediately if anything had changed. The other zones zipped past. The Labyrinth Zone, the Starlight Zone, the Scrap Brain Zone. Wait, what?
See, it's a separate zone.
And then a sharp right turn to take the Supersonic Hedgehog back through another part of the Green Hill Zone, and from there into the remains of the Chemical Plant Zone, the Aquatic Ruin Zone, the ruins of the Casino Night Zone, the Hilltop Zone, the Mystic Cave Zone, along the beach of what had been the Oil Ocean Zone, and through the corridors and alleys of the Metropolis Zone. So basically, it's like, I got this game guide, I'm just going to type all these things. Finally, almost 4 hours and one complete tour of the zones later, Sonic found himself standing by the crashed remains of Robotnik's Wing Fortress on the border of the Green Hill and Emerald Hill zones. The huge carcass of the once mighty flying machine lay abandoned on the hillside where it had plunged after Sonic had chased Robotnik through it, destroying its central power core along the way. Without its pilot or power source, it had dropped like a 300-meter stone and still lay here, like an immense whale that had mysteriously plunged from the sky. Oh man, I wonder what he could be referencing there. It's British.
Sorry, say again, I missed that.
Ivy and creeping plants had begun to clamber up the steel girders of its skeleton, transforming the rusting monolith into a huge, abstract sculpture in green and red. It looked quite neat. Sonic twirled one of the 5 rings he had found so far around his index finger and sniffed the air. Something was different here, but he was not quite sure what it was. There was a strange smell on the breeze, a little like lightning or the fresh smell of sea air, but not so natural. He looked around. On the grass in front of him was a long, muddy skid mark, as if something fat and stupid had slid across it, after being punched on the chin by something very strong. That is the intro. Oh, this is Robotnik. Beside it was a strange scorched mark that had blackened the grass around it in a speckled, star-like pattern. It looked fresh, but there was no sign of what might have caused it. Sonic shook his head, glanced at the sun, realized that if he did not get a move on, there was a chance that Tails might beat him back to the Green Hill Zone, and shot off across the hillside in the direction of his home. Within less time than it takes to tell, he had screeched to a halt, already back at the place where he and Tails had started on their patrol run. The zone was quiet, and there was nobody around to welcome him back. Sonic looked around. "The guys are probably not expecting me back so soon," he told himself nonchalantly. There was no reason to worry. He had not noticed anything strange on his patrol, and the air smelled clean and fresh as always. Whenever Robotnik was trying one of his plans, there was usually the heavy odor of machine oil, industrial-grade lubricants, hot metal, exhaust fumes, and pollution on the wind. Oh and rotten eggs, Sonic reminded himself with a grin. You know, because Because he looks like an egg and he's shaped like an egg and he was made with an egg and he smells like eggs and he eats eggs. So of course his name is
Eggs everywhere.
Robotnik. There was no unusual sounds either. No clangs or thumps or the chugging of small, badly designed robot motors. In fact, though Sonic as he turned around on the stop, listening carefully, there was almost no noise at all. The wind in the trees, the gushing of the waterfalls, that was all. Normally, he would be able to hear his animal friends laughing and shouting somewhere as they played around, but the zone was quiet. Even the sound of Flicky the Bluebird's excited singing was nowhere to be heard. Sonic glanced around, but there was still no sign of anyone. He was tempted to wait around for Tails to get back from its patrol so he could crow about having beaten the fox again. The victory made the score 164-1, but he knew that his other friends were more important. He spirited away from where he had been standing, accelerating down the gently sloping hillside and onto the sandy beach beside the lake in the middle of the zone. With his feet churning in the soft surface and sending sprays of sand up into the air, he set off on a lap of the shoreline slower than his normal pace, but keeping a careful eye out for anything that might be a sign of one of his friends. Nothing. Not a single sight, sound, or scent of anything. Apart from some paw prints on the sand, and even those looked like they were a few hours old. It was as if some giant thing had whisked his friends off the face of the planet altogether. The thought crossed his mind that they might be hiding somewhere, planning a surprise party for Tails and himself, but he quickly dismissed the idea. The Hedgehog and Fox had not done anything particularly heroic recently, so there was no cause for a celebration. Both the animals were orphans, so they did not have birthdays or birthday parties. That's kind of mean.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, yeah.
They're not human beings, so they don't get to enjoy human being, traditions and religions.
Besides, he remembered, both Chirps and Sally Acorn had had parties the week before, so all the inhabitants of the zone were feeling pretty partied out. Sonic arrived back at the place where he had started out and leaned into the wind, straining his ears in a final effort to hear something. There! In the distance, he could just hear a faint rushing sound, like a very fast aircraft, and it seemed to be getting closer, speeding over the hills and valleys of the zone towards him. He braced himself, ready to leap into a supersonic spin attack at the first sign of danger, and started in the direction the sound was coming from. A streak of orange and white appeared over the brow of a hill, and Sonic relaxed as Tails hurtled up to him and screeched to a stop in a long skid, leaving slick green marks on the grass. Yo, green. What's up? Said the fox. Yeah, I don't... Why it's green. Skylar, what are you doing? Are you just standing in a city listening to me read?
Oh, no, I'm walking around the mall.
Oh, man, I bet you should you should go to GameStop and be like, I need to buy Sonic and the Silicon Warriors. And they'll look at you and be like, what are you talking about?
And you can tell them to burn every copy of Buzz Lightyear or Star Command because fuck this game.
Funny enough, that is one of the places I'm going to.
If you see a copy of aforementioned game, burn it. Just do it. It's worse than Shaq Fu.
Oh, man. Wait.
God, I'm just getting hit by everything. Anyway, keep going, because otherwise...
Why does he have a gun? Doesn't he have a laser in his thing or something?
Yeah, that laser. But it's not as strong as this shotgun thing.
Oh.
Or the spread gun. Oh, look, it's a bunch of pre-rendered spheres. It's a Traveler's Tales game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, please tell me I didn't go down here for no reason. Anyway, continue.
Yo, what's up? Said the fox, panting slightly after his long run. Hi, I just found these in the Aqua Lake Zone. Oh.
Rare Game Gear reference.
Oh, Skylar left before the Game Gear.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. He opened his paw to display 9 gold rings.
Paw.
How many did... Yeah, it's his paw. How many did you get? Just 5, replied Sonic, handing them over. I must have found almost every single one by now. In the zones I patrol, anyway. There can't be many left for us to find. How many have we got now? Tails asked. Come on, dude, Sonic sighed. We've got 870 so far. Add 5 and 9 to that, what do you get? 1 million? The fox asked, hopefully. Tails' math is not a strong suit. Oh no, there's only 23 viewers. They're getting bored. Stop it. Stop leaving. Stop leaving.
Why am I... Oh, it's a laser. Again.
Sonic sighed again. One day he would have to check out his suspicion that if he looked up lovable idiot in a dictionary, he would find a picture of Tails. That is so mean.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
mean, but it's
God.
not Fleetway mean.
Nah, I guess. The Fox
Oh
is
no,
a
a
good...
bomb exploded.
There's also this thing where, like... Okay, because in these books, there's this focus on getting the emeralds and rebuilding the ROCC and getting the rings. In Fleetway, did they ever try to do that? Ever?
Not to my immediate knowledge, no.
Like, that's
Hey,
the whole...
Hey, guess what? I got to start this level over because I forgot I didn't get the bomb defused. So guess what? We're not playing Buzz Lightyear anymore. Fuck this game.
Well, you got 30 medals.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to be part of Star Command. I hate Star Command.
Aww.
Star Command's a big stupid.
Sorry.